If you limit your listing times to when you have motivation, you're not going to be very successful. Instead, you need to attack the issue at the root. The more you resist being lazy and instead do the things you need to do even though you don't really want to do them, the easier it gets. Hello and welcome back to my weekly channel where I talk about the ups and downs and in-betweens of selling on eBay. The Thrift Picker asks, do you keep up with all the reseller drama on YouTube? Do you think any resellers on YouTube are sketchy? I don't keep up with reselling drama on YouTube. Is there a lot of reselling YouTube drama? Honestly, I really don't pay attention to it at all. It kind of surprises, like how does this drama carry out? I don't even know. Is it like in the comments section? Is it people making videos going back and forth, like East Coast, West Coast style stuff? I have no idea, to be honest. So do you think any resellers on YouTube are sketchy? Maybe, probably, I don't know. I don't know any sketchy YouTube resellers in particular, but I think it's a good general rule of thumb on YouTube, no matter what type of content you're watching, is just take everything with a grain of salt. That includes me too. You can't always trust everything that you hear, and so you have to be pretty deliberate with the advice that you take, especially when it comes to reselling and eBay content. There's a million different ways you can do things. Just because I say something works well for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work well for you. You always need to take advice from other folks, including people on YouTube, with a grain of salt. Test them out, see if they work for you, but don't always assume that it's going to always be the best advice for you in particular.
What do you include in your packages to improve your return customer rate? We drop a lot of like stickers, newsletters, postcards, but I'm wondering if you've had any success with anything lately.
Thanks, Martin. I appreciate you sending in a video like that. If you'd like to send in a video question similar to Martin here, you can do so. There's a link below. I'd love to have you on the channel. I don't get a whole lot of repeat customers personally. I sell across all categories, and it's rare that I get people who want to come back and buy more of my random stuff. If you sell in a particular category, and based on your email address, it looks like you sell in the comic book category, you do want to invest more time and energy into trying to build repeat customers. And that's if your store is exclusively one particular niche like comic books. And some common ways to do that are thank you cards, throwing in some freebies, stickers, even extra comic books, low-cost comic books. I know that there's a lot of different strategies like that. Personally, I don't do any of it because I just don't get a whole lot of repeat business. And if you're like me and you're selling across all categories, I wouldn't really recommend you invest a whole lot of time and energy into trying to build a base of loyal followers on eBay. I just don't think it's worth the squeeze, really. I'm not going to discourage you from doing it. I think it's a nice thing if you want to provide thank you notes and all of that. I just don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's going to produce a lot of repeat buyers. All right, let's jump into my sales for the week. I'll be answering other viewer questions sprinkled throughout these top 10 sales. And if you have questions for me, leave them in the comment section below and I will answer them in a future video. Looks like sales have improved slightly over the last 7 days, 801% ROI, 47% net profit margin. I sold $711 worth of inventory and had a net income of $329 for the week. Still very low, but better than last week, which is in the $150 or $160 range. I had a terrible week last week, so a little bit better this week. Sales are improving, so that's good. Looks like I had 35 new listings, which is exactly my goal of 5 per day, and 23 sales. The average time to sell for the inventory that sold this week was 5 months, and I spent a total of $180 on new inventory. By the way, you're looking at Flipwise, the eBay automation platform I built to manage my inventory and sales data automatically. If you're interested in something like this, there's a link in the description below. Coming in at number 10 is this Camelback bottle. I bought these at a garage sale about a year ago. Looks like I got 6 of them. I've sold 2 of them so far. This one sold for $24.99, free shipping. My net return for the 10th best flip was $13.97. Looks like on the 2 that I've sold, though, I have a total net return of $27.22. Camelback is a pretty decent brand. These had some unique branding on the front, this hydrator dye. There wasn't a whole lot on eBay when I bought these, but they've been selling pretty slow, but not bad for the 10th best flip of the week. Coming in at number 9 is this HP 67 ink combo pack. I bought it for, what did I buy it for? $1 at a garage sale just this past weekend, so it sold very quick in only 1 day for a net return of $14.20 and the 9th best flip of the week. This did have an expiration date of 4/24, so it was a couple months expired, but people still buy ink cartridges when they have expired. The expiration date mostly refers to the warranty, not necessarily the usability of the ink. I'm sure at some point the ink does dry up, but being a few months old is definitely not an issue. I tend to pick up printer ink if it's expired, even if it's like 2 years expired. Anything more than that, I typically pass on unless it's very valuable, and I just adjust the price accordingly. Cartridges that are not expired, you can see the price, but then you can also see the price for expired cartridges and price them, a few dollars lower. That's what I did here. Might have priced this one a little bit too low considering how quickly it sold for the 9th best flip of the week. Troy asks, question, I print my shipping labels through eBay and I always wait for a receipt from the post office when I drop off my packages. Do you feel it's necessary to get a receipt from the post office? And if so, how long do you keep them? So I don't get a receipt from the post office. I never have. I've been pretty lucky in that my local post office is pretty reliable. I'm able to just go up to the counter, drop my packages off. I don't even wait for them to get scanned, and I just really don't have any issues. But I get that not everyone's post office is that reliable, and there may be a good reason for you to wait to get those items scanned and to get a receipt. So if you're looking to avoid issues there, you definitely want to make sure that you see your packages get scanned. Get a receipt if you need to. Again, I've never gotten one. I've never had the need to prove to anyone that I had items scanned. I'm not exactly sure how that would happen. Maybe if you know in the comments below, if you have a less reliable post office and you do keep your receipts and you've used those receipts to prove something, let us know in the comments below. But for me, my post office is pretty reliable. I don't even wait for them to get scanned, and it's never been an issue. Wolfox Phantom X asks, do you offer returns if you sell a new sealed item and it doesn't work when they open it? I sold a sealed Bluetooth headset and the buyer demanded a refund when he opened it and it didn't work. Am I responsible for something that's beyond my control like that? That is an excellent question. Technically, you are responsible for it, but there are some things that you can do as a seller. eBay does offer you some certain seller protections in this case. I believe the rules, if you offer free returns or if you are a top-rated seller, one of those two, you are able to give partial refunds when the item that you sold is returned to you in a condition that's different than when you sold it. So if you sold something brand new in the packaging and you get it returned and it's opened, you are authorized to refund up to only 50% of the original price back to the buyer. And I make pretty heavy use of that when it happens. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, I definitely do that. If I can resell the item, I try to figure out how much I can resell it for and then refund the buyer basically the difference of loss that I would get from reselling it in used condition. Now, the buyers are not going to like this at all. Often they'll be very mad at you, they'll leave you negative feedback, and they'll reach out to eBay, and eBay will refund them the full amount, but it won't come from your funds, and so you're protected from eBay on that. But yeah, that's a benefit of being a top-rated seller and or offering free returns. Coming in at number 8 is this two-way radio walkie-talkie from Motorola. This thing took 24 days to sell for $31.98 and the 8th best flip of the week. $14.74 was the net return on that one. I bought them at a garage sale for $5, it looks like. These things, I tested them out. I made sure that they work. These are pretty good sellers. I'm actually surprised it took this long to sell. The sell-through rate suggested they should have been sold in about a week, so I'm not quite sure why mine took a little bit longer to sell, but not too bad. Coming in at number 7 are these new with tags Skims pajama tops. So Skims is Kim Kardashian's brand. Regular viewers know that I bought a big lot of a bunch of Skims new with tags clothing that were slowly getting listed. This one was listed for only 9 days. It sold for $29.48. Had a net return of $17.47 for the 7th best flip of the week. I've got a $3 purchase price on that. When I buy these big lots and I pay a flat fee for all of that, I just take the number of sellable items in the lot and I divide that by the total amount that I spent. So this came in at roughly $3 per piece, so that's my cost of goods on it. John asks, I thought I recalled a video where you almost always offered free shipping and just built the cost of the shipping into the sales price. Yet I see that most everything you sold in this video has a shipping cost to the buyer. Have you had a change of heart about free shipping? Thanks, John. I haven't really had a change of heart about free shipping. I still do free shipping on a lot of items depending on what that item is, but I also experiment with a bunch of different strategies on eBay, including shipping strategies, and I would encourage you to do the same, not just for shipping, but for everything eBay related. Try not to get stuck in a rut of always doing things the exact same way, because you may find that those ways become outdated or that the market shifts, and you always really want to be experimenting with different strategies to see what works for you and your store in particular. In the past, I have done a lot more free shipping than I'm doing currently. Right now, I'd say I do about 25 to 30% free shipping and the rest paid shipping. And when I do paid shipping, I do a flat rate shipping. And so I just have some business policies predefined that have a range of flat shipping costs that I apply based on roughly what the item is going to cost to ship that I determine when I'm listing. But some items I think do benefit from having free shipping depending on the category. And I usually determine that when I'm doing my market research, when I'm listing. I'm looking at active listings, sold listings, and I'm seeing how other people price their items, including how how they price the shipping. And you'll run across certain items in certain categories that have an overwhelming majority offering free shipping, and I like to be competitive and also offer free shipping. It also just depends on the item. Sometimes I know exactly how much something is going to cost to ship, or a maximum amount that it's going to cost to ship, and it's easier for me to just build that into the price instead of a separate shipping cost. So it really just depends. There's a lot of variables that go into it, but I do a mix, and I'm always changing it. If you hear me talking about something here on this channel and you see evidence of the contrary, typically that's me just testing different things. I like to always be testing things and trying different strategies and seeing what works and seeing which ones I need to get rid of and things like that. Coming in at number 6 is this Ninja Black food processor motor. This is something I just parted out into many different pieces here. It sold for $31.98 for the 6th best flip of the week. My net return on it was $17.90. It came from a garage sale, again, parted out, so I gave it a purchase price of $2.50. I paid $10 for the unit here, and I broke it into 4 sellable pieces, so this one got $2.50 as a cost of goods. I just plugged it in, make sure it worked, and good to go. Sold in 18 days. Coming in at number 5 is this set of 4 cherry pattern salad/dessert plates. These came from a Salvation Army. Looks like we paid $6.99. They sold in 6 months for $41.48. I think we've been using these in the meantime because I remember having a dessert on these not that long ago. But we do that quite a bit. We buy things that we like and we use them while they're listed, and when they sell, well, we say goodbye to them. We made $19.16 off of this one for the 5th best flip of the week. Casper asks, question, I have an eBay store with around 1,000 items in one category. A couple months ago, I decided to start selling in other categories. The other items do not get any views, and I'm still waiting to get a sale from those other categories. Should I open a second store for the other categories? Thanks, Casper. It's a good question. Should you open a second store if you start to sell things that are outside of the niche of what you normally sell? You can definitely start a second store. You may have some more success doing that, but just because you're not getting any views or sales is not a reason alone to start a second store. Starting a second store is not going to magically make those items get views and get sales. The reason you may want to start a second store is if you want to build a loyal following around a particular niche, and you want your account to be known in a community related to that niche so that people can follow your store and you'll get a lot of repeat customers. That's the reason you'd want to open up a secondary store that's focused around a single niche in particular. The way that eBay works is there's supply and demand that's very particular to the individual item. So everything you sell has a supply, it has a demand, it has a sell-through rate. What you'll want to do is check the sell-through rate, the supply and the demand of those items that you're considering putting in a second store to understand what the demand is and how popular it is, and set your expectations accordingly for how long it will take for those things to sell. Whether they're in one store or the other is really not going to impact that at all. It will impact it later if you get a big following around that second store. Then you might start generating sales in a way that you wouldn't running everything from a single store. But just switching it over to a second store is not going to make those things magically start to sell. Coming in at number 4 is this Nike hoodie. This was also a part of that big lot of clothing, the Skims clothing that I bought. There was also quite a bit of Nike stuff in there as well. This one sold for $36.98 for the 4th best flip of the week. The net return was $22.89. It also got a $3 cost of goods on that as well. Kyrie Irving is the player that these are branded or designed by or in collaboration with, and I think Kyrie Irving is not a super popular player anymore. I'm not sure if he's been like completely canceled or what. I'm not exactly sure the history there. I looked up on Wikipedia and it said something about him being a flat earther. I don't know. So his stuff's not selling very quickly, but it still sells for a decent amount of money. This stuff has an MSRP of $100 on it, so I'm trying to get rid of it here at $36.98. 4th best flip of the week. Coming in at number 3 are these Zildjian. Am I pronouncing that right? Zildjian? I've actually never said this brand out loud, I don't think, but these are cymbals for a drum kit. This is a bottom hi-hat cymbal. Sold for $44.98. Only took 8 days. I got it at a garage sale for $2, and it got a net return of $28.34 for the 3rd best flip of the week. Remember getting this at a garage sale. I picked it up. There was no price on it. I took it up there, had my fingers crossed, and asked how much they want for it. They said $2. Pretty happy with that. I actually thought it was going to sell for a little bit more, but once I got home and did the research, I realized it was not as valuable as I thought. Still, 3rd best flip of the week, $28. I'll take it. Eric asks, do you have any tips on staying motivated? I have a lot to list, but find it hard to always want to do it. Hey, Eric, thanks for the question. I get it, and you're not alone. Like most people, I hate listing too. It can be hard to find the motivation to list. But here's the thing though, you can't rely on motivation. If you limit your listing times to when you have motivation, you're not going to be very successful. Instead, you need to build discipline. Discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and follow it consistently, even even when you don't really want to do it. There's a concept in psychotherapy sometimes referred to as a paradigm, which basically means your default set of behaviors. You can think of it as like an internal thermostat. Like take the thermostat in your house, for example. You set it to 70 degrees and it keeps your house at 70 degrees. If somebody leaves the door open in the summer, the house is going to rise to like 80 degrees, and your thermostat notices this and kicks on and brings it back down to 70 degrees. Your paradigm or your thermostat when it comes to your eBay business is that you hate listing and you don't want to do it. You occasionally get the motivation to list, which is like occasionally leaving the door open in the summer, so you list a bunch, but then your thermostat kicks on and brings you back to your default behavior of hating to list and not doing it. And so you kind of swing back and forth between hating listing and not doing it, and then occasionally finding the motivation. This is all exhausting and produces inconsistent results. It's the same problem with dieting, by the way. Instead, you need to attack the issue at the root, which is your paradigm or your default set of behaviors. You weren't born hating to list stuff on eBay. It's a learned behavior that can be unlearned and changed in the same way that it was formed, which is by repetition. So to fix this, you need to set some listing goals and then stick with them. The days where you have motivation will be pretty easy, but they'll be rare, so you can't rely on them. When the motivation is not there, which will be most days, instead rely on discipline. The more you resist being lazy and instead do the things you need to do even though you don't really want to do them, the easier it gets. This is like reprogramming your thermostat to be at 80 degrees by default, or reprogramming your default behaviors to be lazy and instead be someone who consistently does what they need to do even when they don't want to do it. Now, you probably will never love to list stuff, but what you will love is your ability to be disciplined, and you'll especially love the results, which is more money. Coming in at number 2 is this Humminbird SmartCast wireless fish finder. This came from a garage sale also. Looks like I paid $5 for it. It sold in 10 days for $56.98. The net return for the second best flip of the week is $36.75. I guess you put this thing on your wrist. It comes with a little bobber that floats around in the water with some sort of sonar or something that is a little portable fish finder. Pretty cool. I'm not a fisherman, but if I was, I probably would have kept this for myself. Instead, I made $36 in 10 days. That leaves us with number 1, this Frans Hermel Dutch clock. It's an Atlas wall clock. This was not a very good buy. I would not buy this again. 7 months ago, I picked it up at an estate sale, I think. Yeah, but I paid $75 for it. I was doing some very quick research on the go. I didn't inspect this as closely as I should have. It was missing the weights. I didn't have a good way to test it. It was $75 all around, just not a good buy, and I would not have bought it again, even though it's the best flip of the week. So $149 it sold for. The net return was $37.03. So not a great buy, but it is sold as is, untested, and no return. So hopefully that'll prevent anything from coming back to me. Hopefully it's all good, but glad to have the extra $37 for the best flip of the week. It's been a while since we looked at any bad flips of the week. Let's take a look at that. I'm just going to take my sold and we'll filter it by the last 7 days, and we'll flip around that net return to the worst. Looks like the lowest sale was for a net return of $2.05 for this Pokemon Master Trainer board game. I bought this Pokemon game a while back, and it was incomplete, so I just broke it up into individual pieces and have been slowly selling it over time. This thing brought in $2.05. Looks like one of these Kim Kardashian pieces only brought in $2.10. I've got a Harry Potter Funko that sold for $10 and I made $3.08. Had a lot of really cheap stuff going out over this past week. All right, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, YouTube thinks you might like this other video of mine, so check it out.